For those who may have joined us after the introduction, my name is Yvonne Michelle Shirley, and I'm a member of New Negroes Film Society. We're so glad to have you with us today and for this conversation that there she is. Please, everyone, welcome Jessica Généus. Uh,
Hi.
Writer,
Hi.
director, um, just an extraordinary artist that we love here at the Black Women's Film Conference. Jessica has screened at every conference that we've had, and we were so honored and privileged to be able to share her latest work, Freda, with this audience. So thank you so much, Jessica, for allowing us to do
Thank
so.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. Um, so we don't have much time, and we definitely want to get in some audience questions. So first of all, how are you? Where are you? Do you want to share where you are in the world right now?
Yes, I am. Right now, I'm in Zimbabwe. I just landed. I mean, I landed 3 hours ago. I was in Boston for a screening, and I was so hoping that I could stay for New Negroes. I did everything that I could in my mind, but it wasn't possible for family reason. I think I'm okay. I think it's safe to say that I'm okay. Um, Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned because the last conference that I was in, with the documentary, I was right in the middle of meeting my French producer for this film. I was discussing the film, didn't even write anything yet, and so yeah, I'm extremely grateful that this moment is happening right now, even though I'm not here.
Yeah, so are we. So are we. Can everyone hear Jessica okay? Can we turn her up a little bit? Okay, great, great. Well, I guess, yeah, for this story, I guess we can start with just tell us how you developed this story, how it developed within you, and how it's connected to your body of work and your concerns as an artist.
This film is completely inspired by my life because I grew up in neighborhoods like Freda, and I grew up with women, like her. I grew up with my mother's sisters and cousins, and I was in an environment of women, and they are the one who actually, I don't know, they built me. They destroyed me and they built me at the same time. So, but somehow I wanted this film to exist because I wanted to see them. I wanted to see people that I know that are extremely close to my heart, and also because they are a representation of Haitians fighters in Haiti that have dedicated their whole life in this country, but yet everything is seems to be worse, than when they started the fight. So I think I was obsessed about that. I was obsessed about having this mirror where we could actually explore a little bit more about us, where we would be looking at us in a way to help us, not in a I have the French word voyeurism, when people are just looking at you to satisfy their own desire to see you, but not looking at you to help you see things that you're not able to see um, um, on a daily basis because you're caught up, in your daily life. So, so that's what it is mostly. It's a very personal work. Um, like the documentary, it's something that a question that I've been having for a few years now, and that I kind of wanted to see on screen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And can you speak a little about, in our collective, we are just so drawn to work where it is about the collective and it's so clear and it just feels like in the story itself and then perhaps in the process of making it, like there was such a collective and community involved and an exquisite ensemble cast. Can you just talk about that intention and this community of artists that you work with, and as a director, piecing that together in an intentional way?
You're right on because this would have not been able to exist without a community. And I'm saying that not because it sounds good. I'm really saying it because when we started the film, to shoot the film, when I started pre-production in Haiti, we were coming off 3 months of a lockdown. And it was not COVID. It was before COVID in 2019. Ours was a political lockdown where nobody could go out because the streets were invaded by gang, and in this period of time, it was extremely difficult. But somehow I felt like it needed to be done right now, because it's a film that is looking at this generation, at this precise moment of our lives. And I feel like we needed it, we needed to scream so loud, because we've been screaming for years and nobody seems to, everybody, especially in the press and the media, they choose to ignore that scream and ignore that there are human living there and that we are not headlines. So I was obsessed about that. We were demonstrating every day. Our friends were dying. And I was in parallel to that, you would see the headlines, still being obsessed about the violence and presenting us like what is happening doesn't have any meaning, there's no reason for it to happen. So I became in a very, very deep depression and obsession about making this voice exist by itself. And so when we went out to film, I didn't know, I knew that we would be protected on a certain level, because I knew that the truth that was, that needed to exist, people would understand the necessity of it because we were in this together. And I knew that they would put energy for us to be protected and to do it. And I remember, the French crew, because we had like 4 or 5 French crew on set, because most of the crew are from Haiti. Technicians, actors. This was a huge fight also, just to get my own people on my film. I didn't even understand why, but it was a huge fight. Well, I do understand why, because they were giving the money, obviously. So, but to have the film in Creole, to have my own people, and which was a safety for us also, because, in those complex society, when they see white people or foreigners, they feel like, oh, there's a lot of money there, so you are in danger, But in a sense, first I wanted it to be our voice, but also it was better for us to be together and not having, for obvious foreigners on the film. And so some of the French, they were like, oh, this is suicidal, this is whatever. And all the Haitian crew were like, this is our daily lives, girl. It's not suicidal. It means that living there is suicidal. So there's no difference in living and or making that project, So everywhere we go, the whole neighborhood will just mobilize, staying until 3, 4, a.m. for us to shoot. They would not leave set until we are done, until we finish, until they are sure that we got. And if there's a problem, they would call us, early in the morning to say, it's not good to come early today. Maybe you should do something else, just to help us be aware. And so, yeah, the whole, it's a whole village. It's, yeah.
Can you just expand a little bit on this cast? Because I think I read an interview where you talked about maybe thinking about avoiding actors in your scripting process, and just who ultimately is this cast? And
Yeah, because I wrote this film to play in it. I was at the stage of my life where I'm an actor. I've been playing in films, for as long as I can remember, and I was at a stage where I was not getting any contract. Just difficult moment, and I said to myself, maybe I should write. Long story short, so I wanted to play in it, but the more I was writing it, and the more I was failing the casting, realizing that I was not the best person to play Freda for so many reasons. One of the main reason is, first of all, it's not because you can play that you can play anything, And second of all, there's the colorism aspect of this film that is extremely important for me, between the two sisters. and it would have not existed with me, you know, first and foremost. And second, I'm not in, well, let's make it short because I know we don't have a lot of time. So I changed the whole casting because, as I told you, I was supposed to, and so everybody was cast around me, kind of. So I changed the whole cast 1 week before production because I could not sleep anymore. I was like, do you want to make a good film or do you want to play? And that was as easy as it sounds. It was a hard question to answer. And and also I wanted to see her. I wanted to meet Freda in order for me to be able to let go. So I saw her on stage. It was her first time playing, you know, in a theater piece. And this festival was happening at the same time as my pre-production. So I would go every night, you know, to see plays and try to, you know, and I saw her and it was just mind blowing. And I was like, here's Freda. And for the mother, random like that, you know, she was just going through my office, next to my office, because she was going to another office, harassing someone else for some money that they owe her, you know. And I bumped into her and I was speechless for at least 2 minutes. And mind you, you understand me being speechless because I've been talking a lot right now. so so I was just speechless and I was like, gosh, I instantly, you know, she failed the casting, of course, because she didn't need to pass a casting. And when my French producer asked me to send the video of her casting, I said, we're not going to do that because if I do, you're going to say that I'm crazy because, of course, she's not an actress. You know, it was her first time playing, her first time doing everything. So, but I knew that on set, she would understand that there's no need to be whether afraid or, you know, or embarrassed or things like that, because that's how life is, you know. It's that's us. And and also I knew that I had to behave a certain way for them to exist fully, you know. And I would not say action, for example, you know. I would not say cut. I would not say, there's a lot of terms, there's a lot of posture that I worked on myself to eliminate. This director posture, you know, being a director and feeling like you have to be invasive and everything. So I had to create an environment where it's, you know, it's a bubble, all of them, you know. Like if I'm shooting with one, I'm not shooting with the other one. One of them will be playing, you know, combing my hair or whatever. Like it was just a family affair, if I can say it like that. So they would not realize when I start filming or when I stop. For example, this last scene, the closing scene, we filmed for 30 minutes, you know, because I put the camera and at some point I forgot that we were filming. Everybody forgot that, I think, you know, and at some point she started to cry. And I think that's when I realized that, you know, because I didn't ask her to cry. This is not things that I asked. And the whole, you know, neighborhood, a lot of people, you know, that were around us started to cry also. And me, I couldn't hold it anymore, you know. But so there are moments like that, you know. All the moments I surrender to them in their movement, you know. And I just hide. And when they were in the bed, maybe you guys remember, lying, you know, the three of them lying and sleeping, they were really sleeping, you know. They just finished eating. And I always ask myself, maybe all this film's money went to feeding them because they were always eating on set. And I couldn't eat because, you know, my stress level was too high. So I filmed them hoping that when the mother come, you know, to shake, that they will just spontaneously say the line that was supposed to be said, and magically it happened, you know. So that's how I behaved with them. And yeah, and since they were amazing human, it worked. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think we need to open it up to this wonderful audience. Are there mics out there? Yes. So anyone?
There are more women like the last time. Like I cannot see them right now. But
I
you
think so.
remember? No.
I think I can't see either, but I think we do have a lot of women in here. Um, Anybody with questions for Jessica, step two. I think we have mics there and here.
Mhm.
Or if you need someone to bring you mic, just holler.
Hi, I wanted to ask about there's just so much intimacy between Freda and her mother and just like the story being built off of that. I wanted to see if you could kind of expand on like the process of building their relationship and writing it and just being able to set the camera in a way like I know you were talking about that last scene and how she just started crying and things along that line. I just was wondering if you could expand a little bit on the process of kind of like building that familial relationship.
Hmm. I mean, you mean the relationship in on screen or in the script?
Both on screen and in the script.
Well, uh, the script, it's since I said it's based on my relationship with my mother. Of course, in which is a very complex one. I mean, what relationship between mother and daughter that is not, but this particularity is that I know that it's a woman. She's a woman that I love, but it's extremely difficult for me also to see her as my mother for so many reasons that we're not going to discuss tonight because it's not therapy. But I know that I needed her to be a woman that it was hard for her to be. So I wanted to transcend anger, you know, because it's useless. When you're in anger, it's such a very square emotion that nothing, especially in those complex dynamics, I'm not saying that anger is not valid, of course, but even anger, you need to be able to use it in a way for it to be effective. And in this particular situation, anger and to be, I wanted to transcend that. And I wanted her to exist both in her light and darkness. Even though I don't believe in duality, that like that, I believe in the gray area, and that's where we are with the mother, with the mother-daughter relationship. It's a relationship where you just don't get her, but at the same time you get it, and and you laugh with her, and you want to cry with her. And so this, I worked I thought about it a lot. It's something that yeah, took my sleep away from me for a couple of months. And on set, honestly, they were so connected to each other, and especially it was complicated between Freda and the mother, and Jeannette on set because Jeannette was behaving, Fabiola, the actress, was behaving like Jeannette on set because for her, all this belief of this one is more beautiful, this more, because she's light skinned, this one is darker, so blah blah blah. She had them in her mind, so she really believed in it. So in our, in daily work, I had to monitor. I was always looking at them and paying attention for Fabiola not to destroy completely what was already fragile between the two of them. And it's complicated. It's complicated. And the mother see herself as not, she's not beautiful because she's dark skin. I mean, it's normal for her, it's not something that she think about as a hard thing to admit, it's like a reality that is. So it's obviously the daughter, Freda, is not beautiful. It's okay, obviously Esther is beautiful. And it's both in their reality, of life and on screen. And it was tricky, but I think love prevailed. As cliche as it might sound, the fact that they really loved each other. We were touring in Haiti for a month, and they were all with me, and it was like a mother-daughter relationship the whole time. They really loved each other. So I think this prevailed, above all the complexity of this dynamic, and I'm grateful for that because otherwise it would have not worked. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, there it is. Um, I cried. The last scene is extraordinary. So I'm glad you spoke about that. My question is, how many days were you shooting? And when did the imagery from the streets, was that shot before you filmed or after? And How did that come about? Where is that from?
Sorry that you cried, but
No,
happy that you
I was
connected.
moved. I was moved.
26 days of shooting. That's all I had. I had a month, and I know that I had to wrap it up in a month, otherwise, we would have not be able. The last scene that we shot was when they're at the club dancing. Um, and I was losing extra like crazy because they were shooting so much around the neighborhood where I was shooting that scene. They started to shoot at 6. It was midnight. They were still shooting. So all the parents were calling and saying, send my daughters and my kids back home. And well, I said kids because in Haiti we said kids for even if you're 22. Okay. So, but we managed. I called them, I reassured them, I said, please let me just shoot this. So just to tell you that by the end it was already so messy around that I'm not sure that we would have been able, because it was getting extremely dangerous. And and um, the other thing is, was it, you remember, Yvonne, about the number of days? And
Oh, and
oh,
the
you said,
streets and the
yeah,
what
the
is it? Yes,
demonstrations.
yes.
Yeah. The demonstration, I shot them, not only me, because we were part of a group of people that were demonstrating against corruption in 2018. And the government was saying that there was nobody on the street, it's a lie, whatever. So we had to document. So we were documenting. Anybody that could document, we would. Sometimes it would be too dangerous to do so, but anytime we could, we would take our phone and film as much as we could, so whether to post on social media. And at the time, it was only for what we were fighting for. But I knew when I started to write Freda, I knew that this should exist. I didn't know how I would articulate it, but it came by itself because it came the way it comes in our life, in Haiti. Because like you wake up one day, everything is working perfectly, and the next day, all the streets are blocked, demonstration, everything. You cannot do anything. So it's just there's no warning, there's no. So those are real footage. Anyway, I would have not have money to gather that many people to shoot it, even if I wanted to. But yeah, it was mostly all of them were filmed in real demonstrations.
Hi, you might have literally just answered my question, but my question was, what was the most challenging part about filming this film?
Um, I think I think it was every morning. Like every morning I wake up and I'm like, am I gonna be able to go through that day? Are we gonna be able to wrap the day up? And it was just, I told you I didn't eat, and I was not kidding. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours per night just because my body couldn't hold it anymore. Because I was writing scenes in just in case, if we cannot shoot there, what's the alternative for me? Because there's no way that I'm gonna lose the day. I don't have the money to afford to lose a whole day of shooting. So every night, and I am a producer also on the film. So I would direct the whole day, and at 7 I'd go to the office and work on production until 11 to midnight, and then go home, go through the script, see what I can change, to be prepared, because I didn't want anybody to come to me and say, you don't have money to do this, and then I'm like, no. I'm like, I have to be able to change as quickly as possible. And that was an extremely great exercise also. I don't even see it as something painful, because to learn to cut straight to the point and do what you have to do, and stop being like, yeah, but I really wanted that scene. Why can I shoot that scene? Like, I didn't have the luxury of that. And I'm grateful for it, because if I had it, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not going to say I'm grateful, because I don't know what the option would have been. But I it was hard at the beginning to be that precise, and to cut things that I wrote and I really wanted to shoot, but I couldn't. So the whole process required from me a strength that I haven't explored. I didn't explore before, and I didn't even know that I had. Yeah.
Hi. Could you tell us more about the choice of the title? I mean, the name of the main character, related obviously to Azuli Freda. Just could you tell us more about that and why you choose that name and your relationship maybe with Freda?
Is he a Haitian sister?
I'm not Haitian. I'm from Martinique.
No? Oh. um, Thank you for the question. Freda, the thing is, we are talking about trauma. Okay, we are talking about physical trauma, and we are talking about trauma within the country that they're living. And for me, when I think about this film, when I think about the woman that is playing Freda, the character, in the script, I think about how her body has been abused and what it developed, in her behavior. And her behavior became one of Danto. I'm going to explain quickly. Freda is a goddess in the Voodoo mythology, and Danto is her sister. And they're like two faced, of they're drastically different, and usually in the mythology, Freda is represented as, this white, pale woman that is extremely, loving, that is extremely dominant, to man, and has a relationship with her sexuality that is extremely assumed, if I can say it like that. And Dantoy is a fighter. She's a fighter. She's protecting the marginalized. She's in that energy. And for me, it can happen when you go through a trauma like that you become a Danto. You become someone that wants to fight all the time, that doesn't believe that she deserves love, and that cannot receive love from other people because something in you has been broken. And to call her Freda is to remind her that she can be both. Well, that's my secret, it might not be obvious, but it's to remind her that she can be both, that woman that is strong, that is, that is protecting her space, but also understand that with all those broken pieces inside of her, she still can love herself and love or invite anyone that is true in their love for her. So it's not about building a wall where you cut yourself completely out of the world, because you're still there. You're still alive. So it's about finding a way to live with those missing pieces, inside of you, and not becoming someone that is working against your own happiness. So that was that for me, Freda is a reminder of your femininity and the beauty of it also, and not thinking that it's a weapon that is only there to destroy you. Yeah, and because I'm extremely annoying, and I know that it would annoy my Asian people because I call it Freda, because they are extremely, tight about voodoo and everything. But that's the petty side. But it's not the first answer is what drawn me to the title, and the reason why I wanted it to exist that way.
Bonsoir, Gessica. Hi. I had a couple of questions. Well, it's really all around question about, so you've done, obviously, you've shown this all over the world. And I'm really interested in, like, you described the month tour that you did in Haiti. And I'm interested in, like, knowing the reactions and conversations you were having with audiences there, specifically with the people who were in the neighborhood and were a part of the process of filming. And, like, were they able to see the final product, and, like, how did that feel, number one, for you? And what were the conversations you were having with them? Yeah.
Some of the people in the neighborhood saw it, because I made a screening a year ago, because before the film went to France, I really wanted to have a premiere in Haiti. So I had drivers, that went and took people from the neighborhood where I shot to come and see the film, somewhere that was a bit further from their place. So I haven't, I didn't do a screening in the street, where I film, which is something that I still want to do, that I'm gonna do. But the main people that were extremely involved in the process came to see it. The tour was extremely difficult on me, on both me and the audience, because first of all, I think the hard part is that they think I have answers, and they were expecting so much from me that I could not give. And this kind of broke me on some level, because it was a lot of pain that was being displayed that I didn't know how to answer to it. Well, I answered just by letting myself be there, and then they came. They was a lot of cry, a lot of pain, and because they are in the situation, and the film doesn't offer something, like, oh, this happy ending type of thing. I mean, it is articulate the way that I wished it to be articulate, but I know also that it doesn't give them something, okay, it's gonna be great tomorrow, It's still talking about work, and it's still hard, to dive into the reality that there is work to be done. And from us, because when you are in the pain and you also realize that you also had to work toward your happiness, it's like you feel like, I don't know, it's too hard. And it was hard logistically, because let's not even get into that. But what I did is that I was just there. When anybody wanted to cry, I would stay 3 to 4 hours after screening. I would stay until the last person would leave. I would listen to everything that I could listen to, and create that space, that's a safe space, for conversation. And I think they really take advantage of it. And some screenings, we had 1,000 people out, at the same time. And it was, at the end of it, it took me a month to recover from that, but I had the space to recover. So when I was doing it, I went completely full in, because I knew that I have a space to recover, and so it was difficult, fulfilling, and altogether it reminds me how I love this country and why I choose to stay in the country, traveling, because we went to 10 different cities, and it's a reminder of what Haiti is, and that Port-au-Prince is not Haiti, and that there's still so much to love, and yeah, it was spiritually extremely fulfilling.
Hi, Jessica. I wanted to say, beautiful film. Each character was I could empathize with each one. So very beautiful writing. And I wanted to know two things. The first one being if this film is being streamed anywhere, that I could tell other people where they could see it. And then the second question is, I'm working on my thesis film right now, my first film, and so I wanted to know if you had any advice to first-time female filmmakers.
No, the streaming part is a bit complicated, because the French product, the French. I don't know if you guys know the French, but they are extremely, extremely slow in deciding what they should do or not. And it's getting really complicated. But we are in the process of making a US tour, especially within the Black community and the Haitian community. And yeah, this is what's happening right now. And I know there will be DVDs. I know it sounds so old to say that, but that's what they want to put available right now. And until, and I know Criterion wants to buy the film also, even if it's not the most accessible, a known platform. But if this happen also, this might happen next year also. And advice, my first advice, and I hope you take it the right way, is to never listen to advices. Just don't. I didn't listen to anybody. Because I especially in my work, in my personal life, this is another challenge. I haven't mastered stuff yet. But in work, I have come to the conclusion that only I know. And from what I know, people will help me on that. You see what I mean? Like they will help me get what I know and what I want to the point. When I was making Freda, everybody said no. And not because they were, being bad, being mean to me or whatever. It's just because it was huge and heavy and nobody could see it, but I could. And I don't even know why I could. The whole time they were saying, we can't, we can. All I could hear in my head is, we can. And I cannot tell you how. Just because, and I come to the conclusion, if something manifests itself inside of you, it's because you are the one that has to deliver that work, that body of work, that creation, whatever it is. Not only creation wise, So if you're the one who feels it, and if you're the one who's carrying it, it's literally like a pregnancy. You're the one who's going to deliver. You have to be the one, going to the delivery room. And people will gather around to help you with, delivering that stuff. But they won't be able to understand anything before they start to see what it is really. Don't listen. Especially if you develop a relationship with yourself where you trust your gut and you trust your intuition. And this is the part that needs work. It's the trust between you and yourself and all the thoughts that are coming in your, and from that point, you will know when to listen. You see what I mean? It's just, and I literally didn't listen to anything. And I listened when I needed to, during post-production, during on set, on some little aspect, within the project, but not outside of it. Anything that will come question the whole project itself, I'm like, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. Because and I know I have to finish, Yvonne, but just the thing is to make peace with the fact that you're gonna make a project that will look like you, which means it will have stuff that you don't like. It's not about liking, actually. Stuff that makes you uncomfortable, stuff that I'm not comfortable with everything that I see in Freda, but I know it's the truth that I see every day also. You see what I mean? So it's about creating something that looks like the human that you are. And with everything that this means, things that you like, things that you don't like, and make peace with it and let it exist. Go for it. And make me come to the conference to see your work.
I see one more person at the mic back there, and that'll be our last question.
Sure. Gessica, this is a Haitian sister from the diaspora. I just want to say bravo. This is such a beautiful, intimate, complex film that the world needs, that Haiti needs right now. I just wanted to ask real quick, at what point, if you think back, did the desire to tell this personal story manifest for you? And what lessons or parts of your experience in this industry as an actress, and as someone who has worked on other films, prepare you? What lessons and what experience prepared you to be ready to do this film?
Quickly, the documentary prepared me for it. And hi, sister. The documentary prepared me for it, I think I would have not allowed myself to make some choices, specifically the way I filmed, the way I should, if I didn't make a documentary before, and if I didn't immerse myself into that type of work, because there's a lot of, one shot, like I love that. And probably, like for example, my DOP would tell me, yeah, don't you want to cut it there? I said, I don't want to cut, but for me to be able to say that, it's because I know something can exist in also that, the type for so many filmmakers that did it before me, but also because I myself experienced it in, in documentary. So I think this prepared me for that, it prepared me. What was the first one before that? You say?
Prior to to tell this personal story manifest for you? First manifest
Oh
for you?
yeah, yeah. It was always there, honestly. I started to write 1 year before I started production, but it's just something that has been floating, around, as I told you, because it's a question. It's always a question that leads me to create something around that question. And my mother, since it's someone that I observe a lot, and I observed her also in the documentary before Freda. So the obsession is still not over, and so I wanted to dive in this again, and Freda gave me the opportunity to do so. So it's this dynamic between mother and daughter has been an obsession in my work. For myself, selfishly, I have to say, it's because I'm trying so hard to understand some things about my life and my relationship with her. So that's why I cannot pinpoint, because for as long as I can remember that I knew that I could use this medium, the cinema, to explore that question, I've always been thinking about ways to do so. And I think the third film will take me somewhere else, but I figured I needed to exist in order for me to feel kind of calm about that question. Yes.
So I think we have to wrap up there. We just want to thank you so much, Gessica, for the artist that you are, the person that you are. We love you so much here.
Oh, I love you guys so much.
We wish you were here, but we love you.
Thank you again for taking the time to watch the film. Thank you for this conversation, Yvonne, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward for next year when I'll be able to be there. And
please.
Thank you again. Love you so much.
We love
Thank you for creating
Take care.
that space.
Safe
Thank
travels.
You.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a 5-minute break before the next film. Please use that time.
Airport attendant.